ladies and gentlemen, to the fourth program of the First Christian Church, Disciples of Christ in Morgantown, West Virginia. We're a small church, but we have a heart for people and for the heart of Morgantown. Through our TV program, we hope to emphasize 4 M's: music, message, ministry, and Morgantown. Today, our choir sings 2 anthems. We highlight Glenda Gray playing He. We then visit Mildred Pfizer, the first woman extension 4-H director in the state of West Virginia. We highlight our Narthex Window, groundbreaking, and hear about a member of First Christian Church who many consider to be the greatest West Virginia athlete ever. Let's begin. Mildred Pfizer began her West Virginia University Extension career as a Cabell County 4-H agent in 1946 after graduating from Marshall University and teaching school for a while. 20 years later, climbing through the ranks of 4-H and coming to Morgantown in 1966, she made history as the first woman in the nation to direct a state 4-H program. This she did for the next 8 years. She retired in 1978, but after that she continued to work with the West Virginia 4-H Foundation and made one of her greatest contributions when she helped guide the foundation through its large growth and merger with WVU Foundation. She developed the Mildred Pfizer Scholarship Fund, which is awarded annually to a West Virginia 4-H'er who is enrolled as an incoming freshman at West Virginia University. The recipient may be enrolled in any field, however, he or she must demonstrate high academic promise and has maintained a GPA of at least 2.5. The scholarship is 1-year award and not renewable. There is also the WVU Extension Service Fund called the Mildred Pfizer Volunteer Leadership Fund, which provides monies to support the development of curriculum to train 4-H volunteer club leaders on program planning. She is also the recipient of the Order of Vandalia, the highest award bestowed upon the most loyal servants of West Virginia University. This was done for her on May the 13th, 1989. Today is Mildred Pfizer's 95th birthday, and we're so excited because she has a story to tell. And we're going to ask her to share that story about being the first woman who headed up Extension service in West Virginia. Plus, she's an active member, as much as she can be active, of First Christian Church. We want to talk to her about her life's journey. So Mildred, begin to tell us about where you grew up and what brought you to Morgantown and WVU and cooperative extension work.
I grew up in a small town of Culloden, West Virginia, down close to Huntington, and that's where I went to school, elementary school, where my father was principal. Then I went to Milton High School, and from there to Marshall College it was then. I first became interested and involved in 4-H work because just after I'd finished college and yet didn't have a job, my father said, well, why don't you just come on over to the school and organize a 4-H club, which I did, served as a volunteer leader, and from that went on to Cabell County 4-H agent, and from there here to the university as state 4-H leader.
Did you have any resentment being a female and entering into a male world?
Not really. I'm sure there were those who questioned that move, but never any real problem. And on a national level, when we'd have national meetings of 4-H leaders, the fellas all greeted me and treated me, as one of them said, just like one of their own. So,
when did you come to Morgantown and to West Virginia University and began to head up the statewide 4-H program?
I came 1953, first as a staff member, 4-H staff, and after about 6 or 7 years, then I moved over to the state leader responsibility.
What were some of the things you did and worked with groups in doing that were highlights of your years of service?
One thing that I was particularly proud of was developing educational programs for volunteer 4-H leaders throughout the state. Also working directly with boys and girls, although that wasn't as prevalent as when I was in the county. But I did do it through state 4-H camps, Jackson's Mill.
You were on the road a lot then as well, weren't you?
I was indeed.
Before the interstate, I might add.
Yeah, you got that right. I traveled before the interstate. I traveled to every county in West Virginia, all 55 of them.
Wow.
Not all in the same year, of course, but I did that. A beautiful state, wonderful people. I'm hooked on them.
Tell us about your journey at First Christian Church, because you've been a member there for many, many years. And did you grow up in the Christian church in
Culloden, I did,
Mm-hmm.
and then later in Huntington, but not long there. Here in Morgantown, I guess the first week I moved here, I went to the church down on Spruce Street.
Right.
And got involved, of course, when we moved over in South Park, helping first with the college-age students, then after that in various capacities, in teaching Sunday school, serving as a deacon, and later as an elder.
Wow.
I don't know, there's probably not much that I haven't done there,
I'm sure.
besides preach. I did that one time.
Well, you did a lot of preaching by setting good examples.
Well, I believe in that, whoever we are. Actions speak louder than words.
What are some of your cardinal rules for living and for believing, and what are some of the things that have kept you going and so active mentally and physically for these 95 years?
Well, examples of other people, of course. When you see and hear what they've done, and, you know, after all, I could do that too. And we all do that.
You seem to be very actively engaged. What do you do for enjoyment, for your mind, and for your body these days?
Well, it all has slowed down. When I first retired, I did a lot of volunteer work throughout Morgantown, Montague County.
Uh-huh.
I also did a lot of traveling in various parts of the world. And I do a lot of reading. Living here at the village at Heritage Point, associate with a lot of wonderful people. And, of course, that enriches my life, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I've always carved out sometimes for church, but I don't do that much anymore either. But all of these things have been important.
Every month, First Christian Church enjoys a couple of opportunities to have fellowship and to break bread together in settings other than in Holy Communion. On this particular Sunday, the opportunity availed itself for what we call sit and chat. Members of the congregation this particular month, it was the Howard family, prepared food and brought in and set it up so that folks could enjoy fellowship and share discussion about anything they would like to share with each other. And the Howards even made gluten-free muffins to eat. Another event that occurs is a family fellowship meal. This particular Sunday, the church is voting on a logo for the church on the faces of First Christian, and some samples were laid out as to what would be the choice of the face of First Christian. In addition, on this Sunday too, the church is getting rid of some of the books from the library. Many books were laid out for people to take and if they wanted to, and to use in their own life or to read and return. So it's an opportunity for friends and members of the church to break bread together, enjoy each other's fellowship, food, entertainment, and enrich their spiritual life together. Today, a special day, March the 18th, 1956. 60 years ago at this very site where you just noticed the cornerstone, the groundbreaking ceremonies occurred at First Christian Church. It took a long history to get to this point. 30 years before, on June 27th, 1926, this congregation on Spruce Street, where now the Greek Orthodox Church is, decided to build a new church. They took out a note for $30,000, and it took them 20 years of struggles to pay off this money. People sold dozens of donuts and cookies during the height of the Depression. But on June the 3rd, 1947, the note was burned. And then the next year, a call went out to build a new church. Land was sought, and it was ultimately decided that this place at the corner of Grand and Coben would be the facility. Groundbreaking ceremonies was held right here. And so we commemorate the church being a part of the community for the past 60 years and invite all of you, not only in the South Park neighborhood, but throughout Morgantown and related vicinity, to come and join us for the traditions of the past and the new life for the future. Since 1956, there are many beautiful parts inside and outside of the church. There, of course, is the altar and the pulpit and the communion table, all of which signifies a beauty to the interior of the church of First Christian. But today on the outside, we want to look at the beautiful narthex window, as it is called, and tell you the spatial history of that window. It was the gift, not of any church person, not of the church itself, but it was a gift of the Fraternal Order of Police in memory of Mr. James G. Hunter. Mr. Hunter was born December 26, 1896, and died December 26, 1955. He became a member of the church in 1926 when the Reverend Mr. Van Vorst was minister, of which the avenue here in Morgantown is named for. Mr. Hunter served as a deacon and an elder in the church, and according to the memorial gift described, he was always intensely interested in all of the activities of the church. He put forth great effort in the building of this new church, and it seems most appropriate, they wrote, that the Fraternal Order of Police, of which Mr. Hunter was a member, should see fit to set this window apart in his memory. As was written of him, those who knew Chief Hunter are aware that he was one who lived a pure life, who was loyal and true blue, and who served his church and city with his life. The narthex window, when you go by First Christian Church, should remind you of the work and effort of one Chief James G. Hunter.